with Sasha Banks having an injury scare and the original plans for the WWE title match at Day 1 leaked. This is Wrestling Hub, my name is John, and you're watching the Wrestling Report for January 3rd. Before we get into the rest of the video, make sure you subscribe to Wrestling Hub and turn on all notifications to stay up to date with everything in the world of pro wrestling. Also, don't forget to follow us on Instagram at WrestlingHubOfficial and also follow us on Twitter at Wrestling_Hub. Thanks to a clerical error on the part of WWE, Malakai Black was able to make his AEW debut shortly after his release. Now, in the promotion, we've seen him have freer reign creatively for his character, as he talked to casual conversations about the mistakes he's made when it comes to his persona. So for me, the character work sticks and the wrestling progresses slowly. I want to be seen as effective and efficient. I will also be the first one to sometimes also say that both in NXT and WWE and AEW, yeah, we have made some errors. We have made some mistakes. You know, you also need to make mistakes to realize what you've done wrong so you can correct it again. Nothing is always ever absolute, right? So it's all about finding what you need to change and redoing it, and sometimes there was decisions that I made, sometimes it was decisions that they made. With him teasing the arrival of a stable to House of Black on Dynamite, it'll be interesting to see how this plays out. One of the most exciting stars to recently make his in-ring debut is Hook, the son of ECW legend Taz. While many have been happy with his bouts in the promotion, Disco Inferno took issue with the way his most recent match with Bear Bronson was presented, saying this on the Keepin' It 100 podcast: "He's 180 pounds. He should be fighting like Ricky Morton, fighting from underneath. Whoever laid out that match, that was like a guy 100 pounds heavier than Hook." And at no point in the match, they laid that out with the psychology of a big guy versus small guy fight. Talking about his job in AEW, Cody Rhodes noted when speaking to Fight TV that his role in the company is similar to that of his father Dusty's position in WCW. Tony Khan's picture of wrestling returning to TNT. For me, this is the wildest thing you could possibly hear. We have an opportunity to be on TNT and the Warner Media Network, and of course on Fight and all these areas where we can be seen. And I would have a very similar job to the one that my father Dusty Rhodes had when I was growing up. That phone call really changed everything. Speaking of the Rhodes family, Cody's wife Brandi has been the chief brand officer of AEW, gotten to have matches, and have her own reality show with her husband Rhodes to the top. With AEW posting a celebratory tweet for hiring Brandi as CBO, fans reacted negatively as they wrote, "Gotta love nepotism." On this day in history, AEW showed that nepotism is alive and well. Talk about not deserving your role and then proving it. I'm not intending to throw salt on an open wound, but most brand officers have a visible media presence on things like diversity, growth of the brand, new marketing opportunities, etc. But even on the AEW website, under news, she is totally invisible. Is there an actual CBO job? And lastly, one user said, "Just keep her away from the show, please." Backstage interviewer for WWE, Kayla Braxton, has been getting attention online from a stalker that has apparently been catfished into thinking they're together, as she gave fans insight into what's been going on, writing, "I've had to block the same person on here using different usernames, and I'm not exaggerating here, 14 times. I've counted. This person is convinced we have a romantic relationship because they're talking to someone who is pretending to be me. Both sides of this, please stop." After coming up short in his match against Edge at Day 1, The Miz revealed on Freddie Prinze Jr.'s podcast how John Morrison helped his in-ring career in WWE. If you want to be in the entertainment industry, you have to be a sponge. You have to be willing to fail. As much as you said I was the glue in Miz and Morrison, it's not true. Morrison is such an out-of-the-box thinker. He would think of the oddest, weird things that aren't supposed to work, and then we would come together and make them work. We had such great chemistry, and he's so smart and able and willing, and we both pushed each other to be the best that we possibly can. So we're both the glue in that. There's no doubt in my mind about that. John pushes me to be the best superstar I could possibly be, and he always has. During a Q&A session on his podcast, Kurt Angle was asked about working as a talent scout for WWE in the future, as he responded, "I definitely would be interested. That would be a really cool job to have. I'd love to travel around and, scout wrestlers from the United States and abroad. There are a lot of great Olympic wrestlers out there that can adapt to professional wrestling very well. I think Gable Steveson is going to be a great example. I think he's going to adapt because he is so athletic for his size. The guy is incredibly athletic. So I think that I would love to be able to be a recruiter for WWE. They just have never offered me that job. They offered me every other job in the book, but not that one. Gerald Briscoe does a great job at it. He is on top of it. He knows all the college coaches. He makes phone calls. He does whatever he has to do to get recruits in. He's doing a really good job. Look at the line of guys. We've gotten Jack Swagger, Chad Gable, Jason Jordan, myself, Brock Lesnar, Shelton Benjamin. I mean, the list goes on. Now, Gable Steveson, and Briscoe knows the Minnesota coach very well, so he's been talking to that coach for a couple of years about Gable, so this wasn't just brought up a month ago. This has been going on for years. During a WWE live event, Sasha Banks was taking on Charlotte Flair. Charlotte went for a backbreaker as Sasha landed awkwardly on her leg. She'd be covered by Flair and would kick out. Still, she'd remain on the mat for a little bit after taking the move, as many thought she could have been injured. A user posted a clip of the potential spot to Twitter. Here it is. Sasha has taken to Twitter to update fans, thanking them for the love and saying she is alright. At WWE's most recent pay-per-view, Big E and Bobby Lashley were involved in the WWE title main event, where E would end up losing his title to Brock Lesnar. Speaking about Lashley and Big E, Booker T mentioned on his Hall of Fame podcast that he would like to see these two as a tag team. One thing I was thinking about that I would love to see, perhaps in the future. Man, I would love to see Big E and Bobby Lashley, with MVP as their manager, and they could be one of the most dominating tag teams this business has ever seen. If they wish to go out there and do it together and get on the same page, I would love to see that. I mean, look at those guys. Look at their bodies. Staying on the topic of the main event of day one, many were excited since Brock Lesnar won the WWE title, as this means we could be getting a dream match between Lesnar and Lashley. On Wrestling Observer Radio, Dave Meltzer explained why this is the direction the company is heading in. So with Lesnar as champion, the next step is Lashley versus Lesnar. You could tell as they teased that glare at the end. So when the match was booked specifically for that direction, because Big E was the one who was pinned. Because if it wasn't Big E who was pinned, then you'd want to go with Lesnar versus Big E. From the stare down at the end, another hint that this feud is happening is that Lesnar hit everybody in the bout with an F5, except for Lashley. While many were expecting Big E to pick up the win at day one and retain his WWE title, Brock Lesnar would be added to the bout, which led to the Beast becoming champion. Bryan Alvarez talked about the original plan for the match prior to Roman Reigns coming down with COVID. Going into the show, Big E was coming out the champion, and so Big E losing the title was a direct result of Roman getting COVID and having to scramble to come up with a new idea. My presumption, and I don't have this 100% confirmed. What people have told me they believe is what's going on here. Here's the thing with WWE, everybody. When there's a storyline involving Roman and Brock, the people that know where this is going are Roman, Brock, and Vince, and probably Paul Heyman and maybe Bruce Pritchard. I can talk to 100 people there, and 100 of them would tell me, I think this is what's happening, but I don't know for sure. But I think that the idea here is that they are doing champion versus champion at WrestleMania. Roman would be the SmackDown champion, Brock would be the Raw champion, either a unification match or just a champion versus champion like they do at Survivor Series. Fightful would add to this, reporting that Talent was informed mid-afternoon yesterday that the WWE Championship match would be changing, but they hadn't been told of the original plans for a winner before that. Those that we spoke to believe Big E was set to win at day one, but that's hardly confirmed. Now it seems Big E's win has been confirmed thanks to the WWE on Fox Twitter account leaking a graphic of match results from day one. Despite Brock Lesnar's face being above where it says WWE Championship, you can see below the original result. Big E defeated Lashley, Rollins, and Owens. NXT star Odyssey Jones came to WWE after playing football for Syracuse University. Now it seems he's landed in hot water, with him sharing a post on Instagram ridiculing a transgender man that gave birth, being outraged over nurses calling him mom. This led to the Twitter account Trans Gaps, which covers the trans wrestling community, calling out the star. "We are sorry to learn that NXT wrestler Odyssey Jones is transphobic. We hope he stops being f***ing stupid eventually, and wish him the best in any future not being a stupid piece of endeavors. I'm shocked to hear anything about Odyssey Jones, frankly. I'm shocked anybody pays attention to such a boring performance center graduate." Now, Jones has gone private on his social media accounts. And this was your Pro Wrestling News Update. I hope you're all having a great day. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you later.